Hello and welcome to episode 39 of Intruder Theatre in the Making podcast. I'm your host, Remi Rachuba, and thank you so much for tuning in. Now, it's been quite some time since I recorded a podcast episode. I actually needed to check it, and it was last November when I recorded it and published it in December. It was episode 37, which was in Polish, and episode 38, which was in English. Actually, both episodes, same episodes, and in both of them I answered some of the questions that were posted on social media about the play and what's going on, what the plans are. So yes, you can check it out on intruderplay.com website. Also, all the info and updates are on the play social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even Threads. Intruder Play, that's the handle. So I provided some answers. It's actually quite interesting listening to these podcast episodes because I really don't remember what I talked about, and it's kind of interesting to find out what I was saying back then and coming back to it now a year later, what happened in that time. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about a little bit 2024, what happened from that performing point of view, because there is other things happening. I talked about writing a screenplay based on the play. Maybe I can talk about it. In the next podcast episode. In this one, I'm going to maybe continue talking about the play and what I did at the end of last year and this year, and maybe share some info on what's coming up next as far as performing the play. So let's go back in time. In episode 38, I talked about going to Krakow. So at the end of 2023, I was in touch with a gentleman from Teatr Supernova, which is a lovely venue in the city center of Krakow, very intimate. And I was in touch with the gentleman because I was thinking, okay, maybe one day I would like to perform in Krakow. And actually, my parents were going to visit my cousin who lives in Krakow, and I flew there. So I thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity for me to meet up and check the venue and have a conversation about a potential presentation, which is what I did. And it was very, very nice to go there, check the venue, see how it works. And I always think it's great to meet, even if I don't have any specific plans to perform, just to use any opportunity to, make the most of the time, and always nice to say hello. Now, I've been in touch with the gentleman recently with a question about a potential presentation, but I haven't received a reply yet. When I visited the theatre last year, as I said, there was no specific plan to perform the play, but I went over there just to make a new connection, and it's always nice to meet someone and have a chat with them. So that was Krakow before Christmas. Also, I was talking about a potential presentation in my hometown in Kudowa-Zdrój in the southwest of Poland. Now, what happened last year, I really wanted the play to be presented there. I was in constant conversation. Well, it was pretty one-sided, because I was in touch with the person who runs the arts department in my hometown. July, August, September, October, I was texting, emailing, sending quite a lot of follow-ups, and to be quite honest, it was quite frustrating because I didn't get many replies back, and then because I was so frustrated, I thought, okay, well, why don't I arrange a meeting with the mayor of my hometown when I am in my hometown after Christmas? Because the plan was that from London I flew to Krakow, where I went to meet with the person who runs Theatre Supernova. Then we went skiing to Austria, and then for the New Year's I came back home to Kudowa-Zdrój, and I stayed over there for a couple of days, and then I thought it's great to maybe arrange a meeting. I arranged the meeting at the beginning of December. So when I went to meet with the mayor, actually the person who is the mayor is 2 years older than me, and we know each other from primary school and secondary school. So yes, she knows of me, and I really wanted to have a chat about a potential presentation, as I said, of my play, because I just felt it was quite impossible to arrange anything with the gentleman who runs the arts department. So when I went, another thing that's important, worth mentioning, is that when I was in Austria skiing, I had a fall, which was quite serious. So then when I went to the meeting, I was limping. And then I didn't even think of performing Intrus, because I didn't think I was really fit for performance, because I didn't really know what was happening to my leg and knee, and actually in the end I needed physiotherapy, which I had for about 5-6 months. But I found out about it when I came back to London. But I went to the meeting and I thought that it would be just me and the mayor. I then saw that the gentleman from the arts department was there as well. So when we had the meeting, I was then offered, I was asked whether I would be happy to perform my solo play in March of this year. However, as I said, well, because of recent events, aka my skiing incident, I wouldn't be able to perform it. That's really what it was. They were very much interested in presenting the play, but I said I don't think it's going to be possible, and I need to be fit and ready, especially as then I also knew that I was going to start rehearsals for Lucia de Lammermoor at the Royal Opera House, a second revival at the end of March. So I really didn't want to make things worse, especially as I didn't know what was going on with my leg, as the meeting took place, I think, 5 days after my incident. So the plans had to be cancelled, and recently I tried to connect with the person from the arts department to, well, talk about a potential presentation again this year, but again, it's been very, very difficult to pin the person down because there was no text, or I'm told that the person would call me back. So I'm thinking, I don't really know whether they actually are interested in presenting the play, because it is a little bit difficult. So for the time being, it's put on hold. So these are the two things that I talked about in the previous episode, and then let's continue. So as I said, 2024, nothing was going on as far as any performances of Intruder. I will mention just briefly that I was heavily focused on writing the screenplay, but this episode is, well, I don't want to talk about writing the screenplay now. I think potentially the next episode would be focused on that. So January, then February, and in February an interesting thing happened. So I had also been in touch with a theatre in Scotland, in Inverness, all the way up north, Eden Court, and we had been talking, emailing about a potential presentation in the Highlands. And I think we started some conversations in 2023, end of 2023, then it was followed through in January, and that was the only theatre in Scotland that I was in contact with. And then in February, when I sent a couple of emails, the communication just stopped. I sent a follow-up and a follow-up, nothing. So I think a month after, maybe emailing, sending some follow-ups, I emailed back and I said, am I being ghosted? Literally. And a couple of days later, I received an email from the person who I had been emailing with, and they apologized to me, and they said that they were very, very busy with their theatre festival, and they've got a very small team working. And actually they do, because I then Zoom with them and I've been in touch with them. Very lovely people. But I sent that email because I heard various things, from various people, that theatres contact you and then there was a break in communication, and that's really it. So I like to say things as they are, and I think it should be the case. So I was quite blunt because I didn't really know what was going on. And they were very, very kind and came back to me and apologized. And then we continued our communication. And then from that moment on, things went pretty quick. I had a Zoom with them. The person who was in charge was leaving, so someone else took over a couple of weeks later, and then I had a Zoom with Susie, the producer, and also some other members of the Team Lou, which was very, very nice. I just remembered I was also, I think, in touch with someone from Dundee Rep, just intermittently, just sending emails to the programming team. But nothing was specific about Dundee Rep. It looked like Inverness, Eden Court was more on it, was more engaged. And then when we were arranging a Zoom call with Susie and Lou, I knew Susie Armitage. I knew of her when I lived in Scotland. She was, I think, a producer at Oran Moore. So I knew who she was. We just never chatted. And I thought maybe I will ask Susie where else I could go and tour in Scotland. So I emailed her, and then when we had the Zoom call, Susie recommended a couple of theatres, venues that I could approach, which I did when we finished the Zoom. And after the Zoom, it was quite obvious that they were very much interested in presenting Intruder Intrus, also because of their Polish community there, which was great. And we locked, I think, an initial date for March 2025. So it was quite early, to be quite honest. So I think I had the Zoom call with them in February, March 2024 for a potential presentation in March 2025. So yeah, 12 months, a year in advance. And I think for anyone who wants to contact a theatre for a potential presentation, I would say always go early than late, because theatres have, well, they need to plan things, to program things, they have a brochure, they need to print stuff. So if there's any theatre makers listening to it and interested in approaching a theatre for a potential presentation, I would often say, well, always say, go early, because a month, I may be wrong, a month, it's too late. 2 months, too late. 3 months, well, some theatres may do one-off performance, like it happened in London with Theatre 503, but yeah, if you can do it early, a year even, yeah, do it. And then Susie recommended a couple of theatres, and I started contacting them. Normally, when I contact a theatre, people may want to know what do you even write. I normally write to the programming team, programming at, or look at the theatre's website, and there is contact details, who their programmer is, or send it to info at, and then if I don't have any emails back, I maybe give them a call and ask who the programmer is. However, with my contacts with Scottish theatres, it was quite straightforward. I didn't have any issues. I found most of the details online. And normally when I emailed programming teams, in my email I wrote just asking whether they might be interested in presenting the play, wrote something about the play, what's it about, reviews, some info about funding, awards, and also I would then attach a tour pack. So a tour pack is like a document which has all the information that I just mentioned, so maybe themes, also who the audiences are, and then also reviews, info, a little bit of story, about the play, a link to the presentation, a video presentation, contact details, a little bit of a bio, my bio, maybe other creatives you can have as well, and contact details I talked about, and photos of the production. And that's really what I sent to all the theaters. Is a generic email that I have prepared, and I just copied and pasted it, maybe tweaked it a little bit, and attached the tour pack. And I started contacting all the theaters that Susie mentioned. So I heard from Eastgate in Peebles, and they were very, very quick. I emailed them, and they emailed me right away, and then we had a phone call, and that was really set. So what was really helpful was the fact that when I had that date in March 2025 for a potential presentation in Inverness, then I started playing around with the dates with other theatres. So I started looking, okay, when I could perform here or here, how much time I would need to move. Of course, Peebles is a town, I think 20 minutes from Edinburgh. Edinburgh quite far away from Inverness, so I really wanted to focus on some theatres in the east of Scotland before moving west. So a theatre in Peebles was another venue that I approached. Then I went to, of course, I was in touch with Dundee. Then I contacted Cumbernauld Theatre in Glasgow and the Beacon as well in Glasgow. I think with the Beacon it was quicker. I emailed them, and Leslie got in contact with me, and the same with Cumbernauld, although I think Fraser, who was a programmer there, was, I think, on annual leave, and he didn't reply right away. But then when he came back, I followed it up, or I even phoned, and then he contacted me, and it was quite straightforward. Leslie was interested in presenting Intruder there, and also she knew of Amanda, and some of you, I took Amanda Goham, who was a dear friend of mine and who was studying with me at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. After we graduated, she did her placement at the Citizens Theatre in Glasgow, and then that's where Leslie worked. At that time, it was 15 years ago, so she knew who Amanda was, and of course, when we had a chat on the phone with Leslie, we talked about it. Amanda tragically died 6 years ago, so she knew Amanda, and I told her about Amanda's involvement in Intruder. In the early stages, when I was developing the play and then working on getting some funding. So that was the Beacon, and then with Cumbernauld, it was also straightforward. We had a Zoom, and it was quite quick, and we set the date towards the second half of March. Interesting trivia: Fraser, who was the programmer at Cumbernauld Theatre, I think it was his final week. there, because then he was moving to Eastgate in Peebles as the manager. So we were just having a laugh that, oh wow, so he's programming me at Cumbernauld Theatre, but then I'm going to meet him at Eastgate because that's where he is at the moment. I was really, really pleased that I would be able to present Intruder in Glasgow, because the play is set in Glasgow, and apart from the Tron, I really wanted the play to be presented at the Tron Theatre in Glasgow, but they didn't want it. They said it's not for them, which was a shame, because I thought it would be a perfect venue, but I guess that's not meant to be. So I had these couple of venues already locked, just some dates penciled in. So it was Eastgate, Inverness, Cumbernauld, Peebles. I also looked at other theatre productions, touring Scotland, and then did some research, and then saw where plays were presented. And I was also in contact with Arts Centre in Oban, and also we looked at various dates. I really wanted to go over there, because when I was performing Intruder Intrus at Summer Hall, there was a Polish lady who came all the way from Oban, and she really loved it. And then I messaged her on Facebook and asked whether, well, people would be interested, there are any Polish people, and she said yeah, there would be. So I was very, very keen to present my play over there. I also was in touch with Ben Harrison, who is a director in Scotland, just for some suggestions. I always think it's great to go to people that you know, because they will be very, very helpful. And Ben saw the play, and he also suggested contacting some of the theatres even north of Inverness, Lith Arts Centre, which I contacted as well, and we are in the middle. Well, we do have some dates penciled in, but they're waiting for the outcome of the funding application, so let's see how it works. As I said, I'm in touch with Oban. Also, we have a date penciled in, so it really looked like the tour was just getting bigger and bigger. And I really love this idea of having my suitcase, 20 pairs of shoes, and going and sharing my story with people. I love community touring. I love community theatres. I don't know, there was something romantic, I don't know if it's the right word, but something exciting. I don't know, I can't find the word for it, but something not attractive, but I don't know, something unique, something unusual, something, I don't know the word for it, but to go and present a piece of theatre to local audiences, I love this idea. Just going and telling your story, and people experiencing. You experience this whole thing, performance, storytelling together. I love this idea. So I had quite a few venues already locked in, and I will talk about it in a couple of minutes of what and where I am, and where am I going to be in March. And that happened time-wise. So when I started contacting Eden Court. Well, when we had that Zoom, that was, I think, February, March. And then really all other venues came on board. So every time I emailed a venue, I mentioned that I was already going here and here and here. And then other venues came on board. So I think from February, March till about July, I had been in touch with most of my venues. I was also in touch with Summer Hall. That's the venue where I performed in 2022. Also, Ben Harrison suggested I go to them, and then I thought, yeah, why didn't I go to them, or why didn't I think of them? I don't know, for some reason I thought that they only present plays during the Fringe, but actually they do performances throughout the year. For some reason I didn't even think of it. And I was in touch with Tom, and we did talk about potentially presenting it in March 2025. However, nothing, no specific plans were made because of what's going on with Summer Hall at the moment. They're talking about the venue being sold, and some other issues, as of last couple of weeks. So nothing is. We had a conversation that, well, maybe we can talk about it towards the end of the year and see what happens, and then when they still exist, so to speak, maybe we can plan something. But I already have a tour kind of prepared, and I have a couple of gaps in between my performances, so I can always squeeze a couple of things. So yeah, Summer Hall potentially, but let's see what happens. Now, an interesting thing is that you might remember I talked about taking part in a little animation. I did a voiceover which is titled A Bear Named Wojtek, about this Polish bear with these human features that soldiers befriend during the Second World War, and then he ends up in Edinburgh. So I recorded a voiceover for it in 2021. Then in 2022, whilst I was presenting, I was performing Intruder in Truth at the Fringe, they did a mini presentation of the animation, like snippets, at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, and which was great. I actually was performing in the demonstration room where the bear was dissected. So it's many connections with that story and Intruder. And then the film premiered in Edinburgh in 2023 in August, and then it's been presented at various film festivals all over the world, receiving numerous awards. I still can't believe that, I mean, what a story, and what a success story. I mean, really, I keep hearing about the film and seeing all the posts. It's unbelievable. Amazing work by the team. Amazing work. And then really since last August, as I said, it's been screened and presented everywhere. And this year there was supposed to be a presentation in London. And what happened was, why I'm talking about the story, because as I said, the Wojtek and Intruder, I wouldn't say go together, but it's kind of mind-boggling how things happen and what happens because of what. So in August, when it was a Friday, I was looking at various venues and looking at all the dates and where I'm going to perform. I had a call from Ian who directed the animation, and we just briefly talked about the screening in London. And then I asked Ian about another screening of the film in Perth, because I think I saw a post on Instagram about it. And Ian said, oh, you know what, it's going to be screened in Perth because there was a huge Polish community, which I really didn't know about. So what happened after it is that when we finished talking, I literally Googled Perth Theatre, who the programmer was, and then I phoned them just to find out who, because I think their email was generic email, and I phoned them to know exactly who that person was, and I emailed the person, and literally within 50 minutes they got back to me and they asked me when I could come over for a coffee or tea. And I said, well, I'm London based, so we would need to do a coffee or tea over Zoom. And then a week after, I had a call with the director, and they were very, very interested in presenting the play. They want to support Polish artists, and they invite Polish artists because they have a huge Polish community, and they've been doing it for the last couple of years. So of course they want Intruder there, and yeah, that was another date added. So Wojtek still part of the play. Even recently, something else happened. Maybe I can talk about it in the next episode. It's kind of hard to believe, but yeah, something else to do with the screenplay, and it's also to do with Wojtek. So Perth was added to the tour, and it's very, very interesting to know when people want you, because you would know about it right away. Like, they tell you immediately, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling when you get that email and it says, we would be delighted to have Intruder in our theatre. Very often people, not in my case, but I think I talked about it in episode, I don't know, titled The Connection, where I talked about people connecting with your work. And I remember when I was sending Intruder, which was then called The Visitor, to various people. Some people came back to me, some people didn't. And I always treated it that, well, those who don't reply, they don't connect with the play. It's not for them. It's not their cup of tea. Now, well, back in the day when people didn't respond, I couldn't understand it. I was a little bit frustrated. Now I understand it. That some people won't connect with your work, and it's fine. Some people will, and they will email you right away, like Theatre in Perth. Not that others didn't, because we did get that after some time, but with Perth, that email just came right away, and it's wonderful when they want to present your work and you can go over there, tell your story, because they connect with it. They're interested in it. They want to engage the communities in the program, which is great. So that's really it as far as the tour, what happened. So as I said, that was going on between February, March till about July, and then literally in August and September I was just locking the dates and just signing contracts for my presentation. Came back to the same people just to make sure that we've got all the dates right, and it looks great, and maybe I can share some info on where I'm going to be. That's what it is at the moment. So I would be Eastgate, Peebles, 7th of March, then 11th of March, Perth, 13th of March, Inverness, then potentially Oban on the 19th of March, Beacon Arts Centre 22nd of March, and Cumbernauld on the 26th of March. Potentially presentation at Summer Hall, maybe between Eastgate and Perth, and Lith Arts Centre between my performances in Inverness and Oban. I just remembered I was in touch with a theatre in Mull, but they were interested in presenting the play, but in the new tax year, that is in April. For me, well, it was a little bit too late, so we couldn't really program that. So that's the tour. I may also, as of the last couple of days, do a little internal presentation of Intruder. I think maybe 25th of March. One of my dear friends from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, Una, she is a teacher now, and I may do a little bit of an internal performance for their students, maybe do a little bit of a workshop, talk about the play, talk about various aspects of the production. Let's see, but that's also an idea that would take place on the 25th of March. Just this is what I'm saying at the moment, because we discussed it a couple of days ago. So that's the tour. I think another thing that I would need to do, because the contracts have been signed, now it's a matter of promoting it, and I've been sharing some info on the play's social media handles, but because it's to October and my presentation is in March, there was a little bit of time left for any marketing to be done. But this is it for the time being, and as I said, I may add a few more venues, but that's quite a lot of venues for the time being. Another thing that I was also doing in July, August, and also September, I was filling in an application form for, it's called Here and Now Showcase, which is this showcase that takes place during the Edinburgh Fringe every year for a week, where various international programmers come, and then they select which production performance they would like to program during their festival. So I worked on my application, as I said, for about 2 months, because I needed to literally prepare a budget for it, as if I was going to the Fringe. It wasn't really difficult. The major thing was to prepare a budget, but because I have done a budget before, it was quite straightforward, and they have a template. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to see that whatever I learned in the past now comes in very handy. So I didn't know how to do budgets 5 years ago. Now someone asks me to do it, and I look at the old budget and I can update it and it's not as difficult. And I do it on my own. I don't have to pay anyone. So I am the producer of the play, and I have control over the project, which I find very fulfilling. So I was busy with that, amongst other things. And another thing that I can talk about is that I would be taking Intruder Intrudes abroad in November. So 2 years ago, I found out about a theatre festival that takes place in Lithuania every 2 years in October, November. Now, 2 years ago was 2022. That was October. I only found out about that theatre festival then, so it was of course too late. But I promised myself that I would do my best to not to forget. And I kept my eye on their updates. So the theatre festival takes place in Vilnius, and it presents solo performances by Polish artists all over the world. So I was in touch with the organizers at the beginning of the year, sent my offer, proposal, and maybe mid-August I had the text message. I had a phone call later to confirm that the organizers would be very happy to present my solo play in Vilnius in Lithuania during the 7th edition. And the 7th edition is taking place between the 12th and the 17th of November. So I can announce that Intruder Intrudes will be going to Vilnius in Lithuania and would have a presentation on the 15th of November at 7 p.m. as far as I know. So I'll be flying there on the 12th of November and then staying there for, I think, 3 or 4 days, which is great. So yes, that's what's going to happen, and I'm very, very excited about it because I know that I'll be meeting other people already. I had been in touch with some other programmers from other theatre festivals that also program Polish artists. So yeah, looking forward to it. So yeah, that's nearly in a month's time. Today, what is the date? Today, 21st of October. So yes, nearly less than a month. So which means that yes, I'm slowly preparing for that performance. I need to refresh the text. I need to go into rehearsals because I haven't performed a Polish version in nearly 2 years. So that's the latest updates as far as the performance or any future performances of Intruder and what's been going on. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I was, apart from producing and contacting theatres and doing all sorts of things, I had been writing till the beginning of May, and I've written quite a bit, but as I said, maybe I can talk about it in the next podcast episode. I don't really know whether I will be able to record it before I go to Lithuania. Let's see how it goes. So that's it for today, for episode 39 of Intruder Theatre in the Making podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.